So I've got my list of questions here, but you keep bringing up things that are making my brain turn. So I want to go off a little bit here. Talk to me about when you have a junk car rolling through. We all know in your mind you got a profit number associated with it. Like no matter what, on your averages, what do you associate profit wise or gross profit wise to a new car that a new junk car that you're bringing in? Like what's the value you assign to doing that transaction, even though we know it's all going to average out and excursion is going to be different than a Grand Marquis. What's it look like in your brain?
Well, Ed, I tell you, it's a weird question. Back years ago when we were doing it, what I used to do and what I always would say is we would need to make on a junk vehicle, whatever distance we go to get that vehicle, whatever that tow would be, we would have to at least make that
Okay.
profit wise. So, and we generally pay, a lot of money for vehicles, sometimes to make sure we close the deal. We'll pay whatever we have to. But what I mean by that is, and this is going back years ago, if we would, in-town tolls back then were like $50. Now, price of gas, price of insurance, everything, the pandemic, prices have increased. If years ago, in-town tolls was $50, nowadays, in-town tolls are damn near $100. And people are, oh, are you crazy? Are you kidding me? Oh, go get a tow truck and go get this high insurance and do this, and you'll see why it is this price. But if an out of town tow would cost you $85, just like if a taxi costs you $85 to go a certain distance. If we went that same distance, if we sent a truck out to go that same distance, we would want to make at least that. If it was going to be $100 to tow Mrs. Jones' car from this location to this location, and that's the same distance we went for a junk car, we don't want to make $75, profit on that car, when if we would have did the tow, it would have been, $100. So that's how we used to base it going back then.
Okay.
Now it's a little bit different. And it's also different according to if you're owner operated, if you're someone who has a lot of things to take play in this. If you have a vehicle that you own, if you have a vehicle that you're financing, so you have payments on. There's so many people out here doing junk cars, and everyone's doing it different. Some companies, some people chose to go the truck and trailer route. Some chose to get a dollar. I've seen some that they'll set up their jobs and they'll go to U-Haul and rent a trailer and use their truck. They don't have a trailer, or go to U-Haul and rent a truck and the dolly or the truck and the trailer from U-Haul and go out and pick up the vehicles. I've seen so many different situations, but now, especially with catalytic converters to where it's at, we started off months ago at the point where we decided to buy the vehicles and we wanted to make a profit on just the vehicle itself. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So let's just say your local yard's paying $10 per 100. Okay, so if a vehicle weighs say 4,000 pounds, you're getting $400 for that vehicle. So we would want to pay $300 for that vehicle.
Okay.
By paying $300 for that vehicle, there's $100 on the table right there, profit that you're going to make. So that's no matter if the car's got an original cat, or if it doesn't have a cat at all, or if it has an aftermarket. So basically what I'm getting at, as long as that distance wasn't crazy, for $100 profit, okay, we want to go, a 30-minute, 40-minute tops drive. So it doesn't matter if I look at it as, and I used to explain to my drivers and so forth, that say you don't want to rely on catalytic converters, and I've seen a lot of places that would do this, because if it's the other way around, let's just say the car's going to bring 400 in the yard, and it's got 2 catalytic converters, and the catalytic converters are $300 each, so that's $600 in catalytic converters, right? So you say, okay, I'm going to get $1,000 for this car. I'll pay 700 for the car. Now you go pick up the car, you send a driver, you send a tow truck, and you get it back, and it's got either aftermarket cats or no cats, or it's got cats and you cut them off and they're empty, which happens. So now you're upside down. You pay 700 and it goes in the yard and you get 400 and you're out 300. So I would always say, do not rely on the catalytic converters. But if you pay 300, it doesn't matter. You still make a profit. You didn't make the big sum, but you made $100 profit. So that's one good way to look at it. Nowadays, honestly, we went the other way. We flipped that around. And we are kind of gearing towards, and some people say, you know, oh, you're crazy for this and you're breaking your own rule. But I'll tell you the reason why. In the beginning, no, don't break that rule. Try to make it where you're always going to make a profit. Don't rely on the other items, the catalytic converters or anything else. Try to make a profit in the beginning, some type of profit, whether it's $50, $100, $200. But as you start going and you build up a bankroll to continue buying, if you have money, it's a whole different ballgame. Later, you can go about it differently, which is the other way I just suggested, the way that we weren't going to do it. And you can pay $700 and knowing that, you know, okay, this car is supposed to have 2 cats. They're supposed to be, and the other thing is you should know your cats. You should know the price of your cats. You should know what cats are, you know, what you're going to get for cats for specific vehicles, roughly around somewhere in the ballpark figure. If you pay $700 for a vehicle, you know you're going to turn that car in for 400 to the yard. Now you're down 300. So if it happens that the cats wind up being empty, you know, you look underneath, you see they're original, but in the case where, you know, you take them off, they're gutted out, they're empty or whatever, and now you're in a loss for 300. Your winnings should outweigh your losings. So you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but you should win a lot more than you lose. So if you lose 300, what about the times where, okay, this vehicle you gain 500 profit, this vehicle you gain 200, this vehicle you gain 700. So, you know, if you win 11 times and you lose 2, you're still winning in the long run.
Yep.
Okay, so that's kind of how I look at it now. A little bit different perspective, but you don't want to go too high. You know, you don't want to, you know, if a car, if you're going to get 1,000 total, if it has the correct cats that are original and full, you don't want to pay $900 and keep doing that every single time, you know, just to make the 100. You want to make as much money as possible, but then also you got to remember it's going to cost you. If you're paying top dollar, you're paying $700 for a vehicle that you're going to wind up you know, making a 1,000 for. You unless you're turning the cats in every day or every week, you know, you're going to be sitting on. You're turning that car in for 400. You're out 300. You're going to be sitting on that 300. Now, if you buy, say, 10 cars a week, like we would like to get, that's 300 times 10. So now that's $3,000 per day that you're sitting on until you turn those cats in. You know, so you do have to have, you know, backing money to back you to continue buying.
Yep, absolutely. I think a lot of people don't realize that piece.
Yeah.
You have a float in there. You got, you know, you want to break even on your metal, and then you get these big infusions of cash from your catalytics, your converters, your batteries, whatever you're going to sell. But you got to manage your cash flow from now till then in order to make it to that point, or you're going to go flop.
That's why in the beginning, I recommend, you know, so for someone starting out in the beginning, don't rely on the cats, don't rely on it, all the extra stuff. Try to make you know, some type of profit initially. You know, buy that vehicle where you can get some type of profit, turning it in, whether it has a cat. Look at it as like I looked at it years ago. All that extra stuff is gravy. That catalytic converter, the batteries, the aluminum wheels, that's gravy. I was able to, when we started, I was able to just toss that stuff aside in the back of the shop, put it in a bin, and don't touch it. Don't look at it end of the month, you know, or even 2 months, you know, whenever. Just, you know, you turn it in then. You know, scrap was at an all-time high at that point, so we could do that. And it was, you know, it was to the point where we really didn't need that. If we weren't cutting, there was some other, you know, guys local to us that they weren't cutting cats out. You know, they were turning the whole cars in because they're still, you know, 1,500. You know, a van did 650, 700. You know, an average car did 4. But back then we were buying cars on average between 100 and 300 bucks. So you put that in the middle, at $200 a car, and you're getting 400 to 500 for that same vehicle that you're buying. So and that was then we were doing on average 5 a day.
Got it.
So good times.